So it's right in.
We are back. You're watching the Schenectady Today Show. If you're just joining us, I'm your host, John Cancio. That was a clip of a television show I did back in, I believe, 2000, about 8 years ago. So I must have been about 15 or so. So I was very young in that tape, as you noticed. So I always bring those clips back so you can see. I've been doing this for a while. So next on the show, we have a very lucky psychic. We have Robert Petro on the show. Welcome to the show, Robert. Thank you for being here. You are, I call you very lucky psychic. Now, why do I call you the very lucky psychic? You know why. He won at a casino over $500,000, $568,000, and that's just the start of it. You've won multiple times.
A couple million.
A couple million. So a couple $1 million out of all your wins you've won.
No, just the 568,000 was once, and then in Florida there was about 2 million.
Wow.
But I gave it all away.
You gave it all away. Who did you give it to?
I gave it to students in South America, Colombia, Venezuela.
Really?
People that needed financial assistance here in the States.
So you put it back into the community?
Oh, absolutely.
Wow. So what does it feel like to win over $500,000 when you're at that machine and it starts flashing up and you won all that money? What does that feel like?
Nothing.
It doesn't feel like anything to you?
No.
It doesn't excite you?
No.
Really? So money doesn't get you excited?
No.
Wow.
No. Nope, it doesn't get me excited.
Not at all, huh? So how long have you been practicing as a psychic?
Well, for 36 years I've been a professional. Really? And naturally, my talent started at a very young age. But because I had a learning disability, I couldn't read, write, or spell until I was 32. And then that's when I discovered that I had special skills. And I began working with doctors and scientists and government agencies. And in the process, they polished my skills, even more so. And they were able to show me that I had a range of talent. So MIAs, missing in action, serial killers, missing children, bank robberies, medical diagnosing, and so forth.
Wow. So let's go back to that day when you discovered that you were a psychic. Was there a particular moment where you said, wow, I'm psychic? What happened to you?
It was a great hunger. I can only describe it that I became hungry for more knowledge because of my handicap. I never read a book, a magazine, a comic book in my life. So what happened was I hired a tutor and she taught me how to read. And the first book I read in my life was called Oh Yellow, about the dog. And I just kept crying. So after...
You were crying because you could read?
Well, I was crying because the story was so sad.
Oh, the emotion, okay.
Yeah. And then the second book I read was a book called There Is a River, and it was about a man called Edgar Casey. And once I read that book, I realized that I have the same skill, and this is what I want to do with my life. At that time, I was a very successful businessman in Manhattan, but I had this yearning, this calling, this thirst to know more. So I went out in the world and I began to search for people like me. And I realized that they had skills, but most were not polished individuals. Most didn't pursue it as a career, as a business. So I decided that no, I was going to pursue it as a career, as a business. And then I began to, again, work with different agencies.
And that must take a great deal of intelligence, you know, to not be able to read and write and be a businessman. How does one do that? How is one a businessman and they're not able to read and write? Well,
you know, ironically you asked that question because even when I was a boy, I had to have been 7 years old. And I used to, see, I was born in Manhattan. And we had, when you put your clothes on a clothesline, you would drop the clothespins. And even at 7 years old, I began to pick them up and I would sell them to other people that wanted to buy clothespins.
Wow.
So I was an entrepreneur at a very young age. And then I used to shine shoes and deliver newspapers And my whole interest in life was self-improvement. And then, because I had that basic skill, that basic interest, it was easy for me then to pursue other interests in life. So,
were there moments where it was difficult not being able to read and write and do this?
oh, always.
Always?
Yeah.
Did you have a friend by your side, you know, helping you out with this?
No, never.
Never?
No one, I kept it a secret.
You did?
Right.
So nobody knew?
No.
This is something new that you've come out with?
Well, yes. The reason why, because it wasn't in good taste at that time to announce any handicaps. You were looked upon as, deficient. So they would put me. They put me in a boys' reform school for several years.
Wow.
Because they thought I had. Well, I did have a behavioral problem, meaning that I played hooky from school all the time. So they decided that they were going to put me in a facility. But I loved it there because I at least I got 3 meals a day. I did not get that when I was a boy. At least I had clean clothes and a place to sleep. I really didn't have that as a boy. So it all turned out to be life lessons that were crucial to my development later in life.
So what do you think about that word psychic? There are a lot of notions that go along with that, some negative. Some people think of psychic as negative, evil.
Sure.
What do you think about the word psychic?
The word psychic simply means that you have a skill. That's all it really means. It just means that I have a better skill, say, than you, intuitively. And you may have a better skill in tennis than me. So I believe that psychic just simply means that we have better skills in some areas of life, and I don't attach to it philosophical or religious definitions or meanings to it at all, ever.
And how does that relate to intuition?
Same.
Same.
Right. We just call it by different names. It is basically, we're psychic, we're medium, we have intuition. It's all the same.
So an intuitive counselor, do you feel like you are one? Are you counseling people as a psychic?
Yes.
You are?
Yes.
So you help people?
But here's what I really believe. I believe that life is a matter of choices. And I believe that many individuals make choices that are not in their best interest. Again, Donald Trump would have the best staff possible to gather as much information as possible so he can make better choices. So when you go to see someone like me, I give you information that you're not aware of, and it helps you to make better choices.
So you lead people in a path that perhaps they might want to go in.
That's right.
So how do you read someone? Do you sit down in face-to-face and give them a reading?
Yeah,
or do you hold one of their items? There's different forms of reading, right?
Okay.
Casting into that energy.
Right. Well, I mainly do it by telephone. I have a global clientele who will call me from different locations. So the main core of my career is telephone. I'd never met them before. And I don't allow them to tell me anything about themselves prior to my encounter. And during my encounter. Let me use my skill, and then when I am complete offering my skill to you, now you can ask me direct questions pertaining to what you may have on a list or questions that I may stimulate. Then I believe that information should be taken maybe to a medical doctor, a marriage counselor, to make better decisions in real estate or investments. And I feel, again, it's just good advice that gives you better choices.
Now, you practice in the capital region. Are you originally from this area?
No, I'm originally from Manhattan.
Oh, you are?
I lived up in Lake George for many, many years. My ex-wife lives right in Saratoga. She's a professional psychic. My daughter lives in Latham. She's a professional psychic.
And we were talking about that. What is that like to be in a family of psychics? I mean, do you guys tune in to each other?
No, never.
Never?
No. It's
Is it difficult to read another psychic?
no,
No.
no, not at all.
No.
It's only mental blockages that you create that prevent you from using your skill. So you could use your skill anytime, any place, under any condition. But many individuals think that they have certain limited conditions that they must function under in order for them to retrieve information. And I say, no, it creates limitation. So if you want to call me and there's a person in China that you need to know about, then I'll give you information very accurate about that person in China, even though I never met them. So
is it more difficult to read someone who closes you out? You know, say if I cross my arms like this and I don't give you...
No, you can't.
No, you can still read well. Really?
Yeah.
So let's talk a little bit about the success you've had as a psychic. You've been practicing, you say, for over 20 years now?
36 years.
36 years now. So where have you practiced? In the capital region?
I practiced in Manhattan for many, many years.
Many years.
My home in Lake George mainly was where my students would come and I would train students.
So you can train someone to be psychic. Can anyone be psychic?
No.
No.
But let's say it this way. Does everyone have intuition? Yes. Can everyone be trained? No. Why can't they be trained? Because they have certain mental, emotional limitations. So they may have limitations. They may have certain emotional blockages that prevent them from going beyond with their skill. So no, everyone has intuition, but not everybody can be trained into a professional.
So where do you see yourself going with this? Do you see yourself continuing to help people from here on out? How far do you want to take this?
I will take it till the end of my life. I'm very good at what I do. What I'm enjoying now is enjoying writing books. I wrote, I think, already 6 books. And that was so far from the possibility of me ever writing a book because of my handicap. But I went beyond my handicap, and I turned my handicap into a plus and not a minus. So I have written 6 books already.
Wow.
One has been published by HarperCollins. My one book is global in different languages. Mainly a lot of Asia, so there's China, Japan, Korea. My book has been published in Hebrew, and on and on and on.
I think that you are an inspiration to others, you know, that perhaps maybe they can't read and write, that it can be done, because you went from not being able to do that to writing books, and now you say you have 6 books published.
Yes.
So do you want to inspire others that don't know how to read and write? Have you spoken to others that don't know how, and how have you helped them?
I haven't spoken to them. I basically kept my deficiency secret for many, many years because I felt that there was a tremendous amount of rejection in my generation. So it was unheard of for you to go to a psychiatrist, psychologist. It was unheard of you to have a baby out of wedlock. So my generation did not offer any form of luxuries to you as an individual. But now I feel no. I said, no, I want the world to know who I am, where I came from, because then I will give you encouragement, and you say, well, if he did it, I could do it.
That's right. So, and I think you are an inspiration. I do thank you very much. I did want to mention the remote viewing and shape-shifting very quick. Maybe you can give a brief description of what they are. What's remote viewing? Remote
viewing is where, unknown to the public, there were federal facilities all across the United States, and they were under different names because at that time it was top secret. And where you would sit in a chair like this, close your eyes, and you would be able to go out and say there's a submarine off the coast of Alaska, or troop movements in other countries, or where there's certain Russian facilities. So remote viewing gave them the ability to travel to these locations using the word intuition. Now, shape changing is completely different. That's more Native American, where even though you had the power to shape change, other individuals will not necessarily see you in the process of shape changing. To them, you would appear normal, but to you, you would have the ability to change shape into an animal form.
Oh, wow.
And again, it was similar to remote viewing, where say you took the form of the eagle, and you would be able to fly over a big area and look for missing persons and other things that you would be able to do with it. My program with the government was more, a little more advanced than remote viewing.
You were working with the FBI.
Well, I worked with a lot of government agencies. The FBI is just one of the agencies. I can go a whole list of them, but there's quite a few government agencies I worked for and military agencies. But again, we were mainly trying to use these skills to better our advantages in the sense of military movement, safety, and that's what we would do. Then we would train others how to use their intuition to work with different agencies.
Wow. Well, that's very interesting. Well, I thank you very much for coming out and talking about it. Will you come back and talk some more? I think we'd have a lot to talk about. I know we're running out of time here. So I thank you very much. That's Robert Petro. And we'll be back with our last segment. We have tapper-sized dancers, so don't miss this. We're going to dance.
Good.
Good job. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
They had a good. Also tell me that they got mobbed a lot.
Oh yeah, they couldn't go anywhere. For a number of years, for at least 4 or 5 years when they were touring and stuff, they were basically prisoners in their own hotels.